Quick one, guys. Efe Ajagba talking about Anthony Joshua, talking about I have more skills, potentially looking forward to potentially taking on Anthony Joshua in the future. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into Efe Ajagba's comments. He said the people would support Joshua because he's the heavyweight champ. Ajagba told Sky Sports, skill would beat Joshua, not power. Me and Joshua both have the power, but skills control the power. I have more skills. He also went on to say, talking about Ajagba not viewing Joshua as one of the most skilled fighters in the division. He says, I don't think so. The best weapon of Joshua is the left hook, right uppercut. He doesn't have a great jab. Said, I respect him. He's the heavyweight champion. I respect everything about him, his talent and his potential. He's a humble guy. People are saying that I talk Joshua down, but I don't want to do that. Joshua's from Nigeria, so he's a part of Africa too. So those are the words of Efe Ajagba. So Efe Ajagba looking into the future. We ain't seen much, of Efe Ajagba. He's obviously signed with Top Rank. He left, PBC's Al Heyman's, on Al Heyman's side. He's joined Top Rank now. He's hired James Prince as his manager. So we're looking to see Efe Ajagba's next bout. Who will he take on? He's now at Top Rank. He's got options like Oscar Rivas, Takam. Takam could be a good option. Takam, Cameroon fighter, could have a good African scrap. Could be an interesting one. But, we have to wait and see what happens with Efe Ajagba. Most people recall recently, he was that guy that he fought, that Kaladze that he fought. He ended up getting dropped by that guy. His legs were gone, but he still ended up getting dropped by, Kaladze. Didn't look good. That didn't look too promising to me, to get dropped by someone who's relatively got no power. I'm not saying he's got no power as a heavyweight, but, in general speaking, in terms of big heavyweights and proper heavyweights, that Kaladze guy ain't got much power. And he managed to drop Efe Ajagba when he was relatively out of the fight, and that didn't look too good. A lot of guys have piped down on their hype for Efe Ajagba since that knockdown, talking about if that was Anthony Joshua, one of the better heavyweights, could Ajagba get knocked out after getting dropped by a left hand by, a Kaladze that really had no leverage in it. We have to wait and see what happens. But Efe Ajagba talking about Anthony Joshua, talking about he has more skills. We need to still see Efe Ajagba progress. The fights he's been in, he's been able to use clubbing shots and just use his strength and his brute force to really beat these guys. But then when we see Efe Ajagba take on more sophisticated opponents that are more well-seasoned and much more tougher, we might have to see this another side Efe Ajagba. Maybe Ajagba's got the skills, but he's never really had to exhibit them because of the kind of opponents he's fighting. But then maybe if he's fighting much more live opponents, let's say he fights with Charles Martin, we might see the skills come out. So we have to wait and see what happens with Efe Ajagba's progression in the heavyweight division, if he can find himself into a mandatory position, because somehow Dubois has managed to find himself into a WBO mandatory, and arguably Efe Ajagba and Dubois are relatively at the same position in terms of their stage in their professional boxing career. So is Dubois going to get his mandatory shot before Efe Ajagba? We have to wait and see what happens and find out how Frank Warren, Bob Arum and his manager James Prince can navigate Efe Ajagba into position. Are they going to take their time and get him the prep fights before the big time fights, or are they going to try and rush him into a mandatory position and take on an AJ or one of these elite fighters? We have to wait and see what happens. But so talking about Anthony Joshua hasn't got he hasn't got the skills. He said that his skills would beat Anthony Joshua. We've seen Anthony Joshua's progression. If you look at Anthony Joshua's performance against Dillian Whyte compared to his performance against Andrew Ruiz in the rematch, or compared to his performance against Povetkin, we've seen that Anthony Joshua's progression in terms of skills. Has AJ always had those skills, but he's never had to use them, or is that progression? We don't really know. Only AJ can tell you that. But over time, we've seen progression of AJ's skills, and maybe Ajagba's got the skills, but I believe that Ajagba's skills will develop with time. Same with like the Daniel Dubois. With time, their skills would, develop when they have more experience of fighting different guys, and they, have different game plans, and they work on fighting different opponents. Along the way, they're going to be picking up the skills and be utilizing it against different guys, being able to switch up, just like Tyson Fury is able to, switch up. A lot of guys in the welterweight division or lower weight classes are able to switch up their game plans and their skills depending on who they're fighting. Errol Spence, very skilled fighter. And then when he's taken on a Sean Porter, he's still able to exhibit those skills and also able to get involved in a dogfight against, Sean Porter. So with time and experience and fights and sparring, comes improvement in skills and development in skills. And I think that's going to happen with Efe Ajagba. Maybe he's already got the skills and he's not exhibiting yet, or maybe he's just going to develop the skills over time when he fights better, more live opponents. We have to wait and see what happens. But Efe Ajagba versus Anthony Joshua would be a massive fight in Africa, a massive fight in Nigeria. If Efe Ajagba was to successfully get up the ranks and get his name renowned, potentially pick up a belt, that would be a blockbuster fight between Ajagba versus Anthony Joshua. And if you guys, the Nigerian boxing fans out there, you know, if you know how Nigeria's, you know, sorted out, you know that there's certain tribes that, you know, Anthony Joshua's, you know, from and Ajagba's from. So domestically, it'll be a massive fight. You know, it's not just Nigeria, both Nigerians, both from Nigerian descent. There's both camps actually in Nigeria that'll be back in different camps in terms of AJ and Efe Ajagba. So it'll be interesting to see if they eventually at some point they do fight. I believe if Ajagba moves up the ranks, this fight will happen at some point. Anthony Joshua was already alluded to wanting to fight in Africa. And could Efe Ajagba be that opponent? Potentially. So let's see what happens. So drop your comments in the comment section below. What do you think about what I've said? What do you think about Efe Ajagba potentially in future versus Anthony Joshua? I don't think Ajagba is ready to take on a Joshua now. He needs to get better fights in. We don't need a situation where like Yardways jumps in with Kovalev and gets beat. We need to see the real seasoned Ajagba fighting better opponents. They're getting ready for the big time. So drop your comments in the comment section below. Do you think Efe Ajagba could beat AJ in future? Do you think Joshua will beat Efe Ajagba? Would Efe Ajagba, because he's been touted, will he become a heavyweight champion of the world? So drop your comments again. Cool.